Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. And we are back with Louisa Meyer, who is our Reiki teacher, master, and so much more. Welcome back to the show today. How are you?
Good. I'm doing so well today. Thanks, Jill.
Well, please introduce yourself to our listeners.
All right. Well, my name is Louisa Meyer. I'm a Reiki master teacher and sound healer, and I have training in a variety of modalities, a registered yoga teacher and hypnotist. And so along my journey, combined all of these into modalities that I call kind of Reiki infused sound healing. And I absolutely love just helping people transform emotional pain to embody their soul's unique gifts.
Beautiful. And where are you based out of, hon?
I'm based out of Richmond, Virginia, but we're virtual. We live in this virtual world, so I provide services readily, virtually. Yeah.
Great. Could you tell us the website and or best forms of contact for you off the top?
Absolutely. Yeah. So my website is heartsongawakening.com, and you can contact me through my contact page there, but you can also email me or find me on Instagram. I really like interacting with people over there. So it's at Heartsongawakening is my handle on Instagram. And then my email, if you're curious for that, is Louisa K. Meyer at heartsongawakening.com.
So is it safe to say you have like a sixth sense? You have a intuition in a sense about people, about things. Could you explain a little bit about that and maybe about yourself, where you grew up and how did you find this and then get into this type of healing, you know?
Yes, absolutely. So I think all of this information that I'm giving right now, it comes from even lifetimes, of just being in and learning and being in this work. And then also lifetimes is in this life, like going through different versions of myself and growing up, the environment where I grew up and that I was raised in is very formative. And I think that's formative for everyone. A lot of things that kind of are challenges, recurring patterns and challenges come from childhood and sort of the wounded child self. So I would say that I do have a sixth sense, if you want to call it that. I love the word intuition.
Perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think everybody has intuition. I really believe that. It's just that everyone is differently. We all look different. We have different fingerprints. We have a very unique, like a unique DNA sequence. And in the same way, our intuitions are unique to us. And so the thing that I convey in my teachings is that nobody can discover your intuition for you and speak through your intuition the same way that it speaks to you. So I'm very passionate about being a guide for others to unlock that intuitive guidance system for themselves, as opposed to, I can always tell you what I pick up on and what I think, but really that should be a reflection and validation of what you are picking up within you. So
Well, some people say, "Oh, I feel it. It's in my gut," but like you have a feeling, you think something's going to happen, or you think someone's going to call, and then they do. That's intuition, right? Some people,
yes.
just push that to the wayside and say, "Oh, that's nothing. It's just a coincidence." But no, that exists, and it happens. I think to us more and more that we don't really pay attention to, or maybe some of us don't want to pay attention to or acknowledge. But I believe you're right. I think we all have a form of intuition, maybe not as strong as yours, but you're also here guiding other healers besides helping others as well. So you're healing the healers. This is so cool.
Yeah, I really I know that with healers especially, and whatever kind of healer you are, if you're, even just a mother, a nurturer, or you are a creative, you're somebody who is kind of working with art, for example, or even if you are in a traditional work environment and you play the role of healer. And believe me, if you are in that position, you know what I'm talking about, where you just have people coming to you all the time with questions or problems or wanting to talk things through. And that might not be in your job description whatsoever, but it's happening, right? So you have a gear, a very strong wiring and propensity for healing work. And so that is who I really like to work with, because oftentimes there's such a strong wiring for that from a young age. It means you are probably an empath, which means that you can feel the energy of other people around you. And oftentimes it masks as your own. So what you might perceive to be your own anxiety is maybe coming from, cords that you have attached to someone else or situations, or even within the room and space around you. So I like to work with healers in that way of beginning to identify what is yours and what is not, and building up that strong intuitive immune system, so to speak, to be able to hold space for yourself so that you can serve others in the work.
Beautiful. So for today, what did you have in mind? I know we want to talk about mentorships. We want to talk about your services. Where do we begin?
Awesome. Okay. Well, let's talk about energy healing and what Reiki is, because I know that that's a question that comes up a
It's a
lot.
basic, yeah, I didn't know what it was until about a year. No, I'm lying. Uh, my mom was sick, diagnosed with cancer and dying of cancer. And long story short, on the hospital website, it listed this. This is like 4 years ago. Didn't really know what it was,
Mhm.
and energy healing. But the fact that it was on like Sloan Kettering, one of the biggest hospitals in New York City, like said something. I'm like, oh, wow. But not till like a year ago did I really start understanding what it was. And yeah, so please, I think it's important. I think a lot of people don't know what it is. And I'm 43.
Yeah, yeah. It's something that I think has become a little bit more well known, and is definitely being used in the more traditional medical settings now, which is very interesting and cool. There are, even just around here in Richmond where I live, there are opportunities for people who practice Reiki to go into hospice and, use Reiki in hospice as a volunteer, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So Reiki is it's a Japanese healing modality, using a laying of hands technique on the body or hovering over the body, by which the practitioner is channeling energy, universal consciousness, to provide relaxation, rejuvenation, and healing, really, for the physical body and the energy body, which includes the physical body. So we all have an aura. We have an energy field that goes several feet beyond the body in all directions. And so the work of Reiki taps into that energy field and helps to balance parts of the field that are maybe out of balance or have distortions in them. So it can be a very physical experience, and that's something that sometimes surprises people about Reiki. We think, or on the other way, people think that Reiki is maybe like massage therapy, and really the difference with massage therapy is you're manipulating tissue, and it's really, from an outside perspective, just working with the body. But actually, Reiki is working with all the energetic layers of the bioenergetic field. So yeah, Reiki as a word, and a Japanese word, means rei, which is universal consciousness, and then ki, which means spiritual energy. So universal consciousness, spiritual energy is
Ah,
the energy, yeah, that's coming from the all that is
okay.
around us. Yeah, and helping to tap into that.
Great. So this clearly can work just as good as in person or virtually, because energy is energy, which is
Yeah.
also a hard concept to grasp sometimes, but
Yeah.
I know you have great stories to tell us, great experiences as well. So, okay, so we know what Reiki is now. And can we talk maybe just about what benefits, someone out there suffering with what type of pain or
Mhm.
anxiety? What are the things that it can actually help us with?
Oh, yeah. So anxiety is a big one. I think, especially after this year of having to sit with ourselves and all of our things, kind of getting quieter and going within, kind of being forced to do that in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And more than physical symptoms, sometimes I have seen a lot of anxiety. And with anxiety, it almost is as though something else is driving our car. It's like we can't fully kind of get into the driver's seat of our energy field in our body.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to tackling anxiety, it really is because there are almost like I I get this metaphor that there are cracks in the sidewalk, or there's cracks in like the windshield of the car, and it means that other things can enter that distract us or take over driving the car, and oftentimes that those things are traumas. So they're traumas from the past, or and they're not even necessarily have to be big traumas, but they could just be small things that are completely unconscious programs running and taking over and driving the car. So
Wow.
the beautiful benefit of Reiki is that you can, the energy that's coming through is an energy of absolute unconditional love. And so whatever you're going through, whatever is kind of taking over, is a cry for more love, actually. And a lot of times we want to fight fire with fire and force things out. If someone was driving your car, you probably have this instinct to fight them, fight
Yeah.
them out, right? And there's something to be said for that, for sure. At the same time, with Reiki, it is a heart-centered practice where tapping into the heart space of the practitioner of the client provides a field that invites that universal love into the field of the recipient, and is able to kind of neutralize those anxieties or those patterns by loving them. And so sometimes there is a lot of emotion that comes up during a Reiki session because those parts just never received that before. They hadn't really been seen like that. And so they have something to say and they're not kind of being heard or listened to. So that's definitely something that can happen during a Reiki session. But I would say that anxiety is for sure one of the elements that comes up a lot during Reiki, and that can be helped, especially um, by that heart-centeredness. And then also other types of, maybe, if you're struggling with depression or almost even numbness or different emotional kind of somatic issues that are causing perhaps pain from bigger traumas, Reiki can help, especially with that, for the same reason.
Wow. All right. I'm learning a lot as well. Awesome.
Yeah.
So, speaking of just quickly anxiety in this past almost 2 years now with the pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
have you seen an uptick in clients suffering with these anxieties and issues because of that?
Yes, I would say for sure. And then also people who are maybe have been suffering with that prior to the pandemic, and they have tried a bunch of different things to deal with it, and nothing has really been effective, and suddenly you're kind of locked inside your house, and you're having to deal with it more in your face, and you're just, if you're I'm in their shoes, kind of saying, like, you're just searching for something a little bit different that you've never tried before. And people come across Reiki, which is actually how I came across it when years ago, when I first sought out a Reiki healer. Was I was looking for something a little bit different that I'd never tried before, and I came across Reiki, and I thought, well, what the heck, I'll give it a try. And I have I have some clients that have been in that exact same position, especially over the past year, and they've found relief finally through this practice, because it's something that was sort of a last resort, but then it opened up a door.
Wow. It turned out to be the best choice, the best resort, and the only resort you're at.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, good. So then I was just going to ask you a little bit what brought you into this field. So it's something you said that was, did you ever have a Reiki session before? What made you choose this career?
Totally. Yes. So I actually had not had a Reiki session until I think it was 2014 or 2015. So it was not too long ago, but really time just brought me to a place where I felt so lost in my my healing with traditional excuse me, traditional routes. So I had
I see your kitty cat.
oh yes, this is Athena. I really think that she comes
She's
into this.
clearly into this. And
Yeah, she is, and she comes in whenever I'm talking about this. So no surprise that she's here.
awesome. I have a cat myself named Cuddles, but he's not here.
Oh, so cute. I know their cats are very intuitive. So
And you can also do Reiki with animals as well, right?
that's right. That's right. Oh,
Well,
that's
let's
a
finish
topic.
talking about you. And then I want to ask, yeah, we can ask about that. Sorry.
Oh yeah, no problem. But I love talking about the many ways that Reiki can be used, especially with animals and children. But yeah, so I had gone down a road of um, several different experiences that kind of accumulated, and I had not gotten to the root issue of them, and had tried different medications and going to a more traditional therapy environment, and it was just uh, they were band-aids, it felt like. But I was also they were serving a purpose for me because I was still in those patterns but not really dealing with the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And uh, i I was in a traditional 9 to 5 work environment that I put a lot of pressure on myself to do well. And so I had done that my whole life. I was very much like a perfectionist, wanting to get the top grades, um, and doing kind of the most, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in the DC area, and I I love the amount of motivation and drive that people have in that area. And that's what I grew up around. So I did grow up with just that was normal to like put a lot of pressure on myself to succeed. And ultimately, though, it drove me to kind of this imposter syndrome where I felt like I really wasn't good enough, but I was still trying to do all of these things to show myself that I was and prove to
Mm-hmm.
myself that I was. So it got to a point where I decided to, you know, I threw up my hands, said, "What the heck? I'll have a Reiki session." And there was a time around that time where something happened that was it drove me to it was like an incident that drove me to my knees, kind of where it was like a dark night of the soul moment. And I said, if I don't find a way to
Two.
love myself,
Mm-hmm.
I'm never, you know, I can choose to whittle away here, or I can choose to find that little flame of love that I know is inside of me and grow that. You know, I have two choices. And Reiki helped me choose that love. And I didn't believe it at the time, right? It kind of you're like, I know I have to choose it, but I just don't even know how. And I don't know if this will do anything for me, but you know, I'm willing to give it a try. And so when that happened, it ignited something in me that just began to grow and grow and grow. And I found a community of healers within that area that I lived, and they became, you know, close friends over time. And we began to practice Reiki together. And so it just unraveled from there. And I'm very thankful for all of those experiences, but I'm thankful to myself for not ignoring that intuitive hit that I very easily could have with all the other times that I had ignored my intuition up to that point. I didn't, I chose to follow it. And
Got it.
for that, yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. So you're not alone. Those out there that you're working with your clients, we've all had our own share of hardships, of pain, and it made us who we are today. So you clearly are, you're not just an empath, you are, but you're also empathic to their needs and their,
Yes.
them, their
Yeah,
situation. All right,
absolutely.
good. All right. So, we also brought up animals and we have like 8 minutes left, but I don't know what else is in store. So what else do you want to share? We could always talk about that whenever you're ready.
Okay, yeah. Why not? We have a lot of people who are pet mom and dads, and then they're also kids. And I'm at the age where a lot of my friends are having children, and so that is a thing that I think uh, people who have experienced any kind of maybe even yoga or energy work, they want to incorporate that element and help their children develop a more intuitive awareness from a young age. And then how do you do that, and how do you tap into that with things or entities other than people? So
Mhm.
yeah, I definitely feel that beginning to see these souls that were around, whether they're children or animals, as truly souls, beings with consciousness. Even plants have consciousness, and they have a field around them of energy. In fact, everything that we can see in this reality is vibrating to a certain extent and has a field of consciousness in a way. So you can provide Reiki to animals, plants, anything you want to tap into that field that's around them. And it's a beautiful connector to remember that they are also reflections of you, and you are a reflection, can be a reflection of love for them as well. So oftentimes animals are with us, I believe, for a reason. They almost, it's like who chose who. And I know I've seen that sticker before, right, like
Yeah.
who adopted who. But with animals, it is kind of like that, where they call you in and you just have a connection with that particular animal. And animals are very, very highly empathic. So if you are somebody who's found that your animal gets sick when you're going through certain experiences or difficulties, if you've been through a breakup and you're experiencing a lot of grief, the animal will oftentimes kind of take that on. And that's
Wow.
just how yeah, that's how they're very, just unconditionally loving beings for us. And
And empathic. Yes.
empathic, yeah, because that's exactly how they're wired, is to kind
Yeah.
of feel the energy around us. I think that's why some animals just need a lot of sleep, like cats,
Wow.
is because they're processing a lot of intuitive information, and,
Yeah.
bringing that through for us. So I definitely, after tapping into my own, the relationships I have with my cats. I have Athena here, and then also another cat named Titus, who is just so interested whenever I'm doing the actual sessions. He loves to be in the room with me. It's crazy. And so I see them almost for like who they are, as opposed to just
Aw.
now.
Hmm.
So that was not the case when I first got them years ago, before I was practicing Reiki. So yeah. And then with respect to children too, there are ways that if you're a parent or you're going to be a parent, you want to be a parent, to begin tapping into the soul of that child before even you meet them. We can begin communicating with energies or souls that are maybe looking at us as potential parents before they're here. And that's kind of a really cool thing. So if you're, wanting to be a parent
Wow.
and have kids, just starting to ask their, what we call their higher self, which is kind of like the version of you that's beyond kind of your humanness, if you will, your
Got
ego.
it.
So yeah, tapping into that and just communicating with them, asking them questions. And it might seem a little like, what am I doing at first? Like,
But mhm.
really? A great way, if you feel that way, is to begin journaling. Begin journaling about just like what, when you see your child as they grow, or you see your future child with you, what do they look like? What are they doing? What are their gifts? What are their talents? Like, just without wanting them to be something, just becoming interested in who they are, because your imagination is that rehearsal room of your life, where you can kind of see what's happening and experience it from that metaphysical environment. So yeah, that's what I would recommend is doing journaling exercises, and it becomes easier as you do it.
Great. And now just curious, as far as the services you offer, since we're almost out of time, we have a few minutes. How does it work to work with you? What do you suggest? How long are the sessions? Is there any initial calls that you have? Do you offer discovery session? Could you explain how it works a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're interested in working with me for sessions, I offer 90-minute sessions. I combine Reiki and sound healing. I'm very, very much someone who takes the person and what they're going through, and will use whatever gifts I feel are appropriate for that person, such as maybe we do a little bit more sound healing, which is a bit more physical, or we do more of the Reiki and the energy work, or we do half and half, so I will modify it based on what I'm presented with. And so for that, if you are interested in working with me, but you're not sure what you want to do, and you visit my website and you're still unclear, you can book a clarity call with me. And that's just right there on every page that I have on my website. So you can book your clarity call. Yeah.
Clarity call is what we call it then. Good. All right.
Yeah.
And to close up today's conversation, what do you want to leave us with for today, Louisa?
Well, I would love to just tell everyone that if you have been struggling in the way that we've talked about today, and you're looking for kind of something more, something more. Yeah. Most likely you have a gift hidden in there, and it's just that your soul is yearning for another way to find an answer to something that you're looking for. And, you're going to get there. Nothing that you go through is for naught, is what I like to say.
It's not alone. Yep. There's always someone there to help. And tell us how we can reach out to you. Are you on social media as well?
Yes, I am. I enjoy Instagram. I'm active there. So you can find me at Heart Song Awakening, just all one word handle. And then heartsongawakening.com. And if you want to contact me, I have a contact page there, which directs to my email. So that's perfect. Yeah.
Great. Well, Louisa, Meyer, it's a pleasure having you, getting to know you. It's great to see you here in person as well. Yes. And we hope our listeners reach out, and thank you for enlightening us. Do you know when we're meeting again? Are we back? Or
I will have to,
or is this it? I don't know. I'm like, no.
I know.
Well, happy holidays either way. That was just asking.
Oh, no problem. Love to see you again, Jill. Absolutely.
Thank you. And I'll get you on Instagram. Seriously. Thank you so much again, Louisa. We appreciate it. Have a great day. And to all of our listeners and viewers, the same. Stay tuned. More of the show is on the way. Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.